Welcome to the first ever Variant Founder event for Midnight Society, live at the incredible FaZe Warehouse. It took us a long time to get here. Building this incredible team, which you are all going to meet later throughout the night, the dev team for Project Moon. And we are expanding every single day. Not just expanding the team, but expanding our Variant founder base, and everybody here is in that first group. But why? Why are we here? We're here to build the next best first-person shooter, and it starts with the first snapshot. Up until this point, we've been referring that as Project Moon. But who's ready to know the final name of the game? So without further ado, let's load it up and reveal what we are building together. Yeah, we're dropping right after this. We have PlayStations set up over there. PC PlayStations, not actual PlayStations. To test the build, what's going to happen next is after this, we want everybody to cycle through. Play, watch each other play, talk about it, grab drinks. We're going to leave this stage, mingle with you guys, talk about it. As you get off the build, come find us. Let's chat about it. Let's start this process. Then one last surprise. The build is just one aspect of this. Every 6 weeks, we are updating these snapshots, not just with the playable builds, but also with the variant guide. Now, we printed a special edition of issue 1 for everybody here to go through. So now that the logo is revealed, we're going to have gift bags at the entrance. I think you all got tickets. Go there, get your hoodie, get your variant guide. Go through it, it breaks down every feature of the build, and just like the build's gonna expand every 6 weeks, so is this variant guide, chronicling, detailing, visualizing, everything that this group adds to the game is gonna be in that, so that when we get to the end of this road, we have a beautiful, fat book that just shows it all. Without any more to say on that, introduce Katie, who's going to take it away, and then let's get down to business.
Rob, thank you so much. It is not every day that you get to spend a Friday in beautiful LA getting to see a reveal from a AAA studio. Midnight Society has done so much. Doc has done so much. Let me hear what you think about DEADROP. Let's get loud, please. All right, we heard it from Rob. You have PlayStations. You're going to get to see some of these founders, the people who believe so much in Midnight Society, trying out the first snapshot of many for this game and for this roadmap. We're also going to be going throughout the crowd, getting interviews, seeing how people feel about DEADROP, their first impressions. Make sure you look out for it, for Doc, for Midnight Society, and for all the action. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody. We are on the floor right now at the DEADROP reveal alongside Tom, who's gotten a chance to try out the game. And what is it like to be here for this?
I mean, this is amazing. The amount of people that showed up for this, the fact that they've got a playable build here for everyone to try out and give like the responses to the dev team about what they felt. Like nobody else is doing anything like this. It's just so refreshing to see in the gaming space that a company's taking the time to do something like this.
Now, you mentioned this to me off screen, but I want you to say it again. How did you feel when you first sat down with the game? Were you surprised? What were you expecting, and what did you get?
Okay, so this is the first playable build that they've let anybody see or play, and it looks amazing. Like, the art style, the graphics, it is top notch, and this is literally the first time they've let anybody see it or touch it. So just for the dev team to be this far along so early, it's crazy. Like, just imagine what it's gonna look like when the game's actually done.
Now, I gotta ask, we get the reveal, right? I mean, something like a name reveal from a brand new AAA studio, that's a big deal. What do you think of DEADROP?
DEADROP, guys. So that's the official name that Midnight Society dropped today. And I mean, there was goosebumps through the whole building. DEADROP. Like, they've got a good name, a good studio, a good dev team. They're gonna do big things.
I believe it, certainly they will. All right. What else have you explored? Have you gotten to tour the whole building yet? What are you looking forward to?
I have not seen anything yet. I'm trying to walk around, meet people, meet the other fellow founders and variants here, talk to Doc a little bit. Just going to have a good time.
Awesome, Tom. Thank you so much. And go have fun. Have a good time. All right, Russ, get over here.
Howdy.
All right, we picked up another one. This is Russ. Welcome, welcome. How do you feel being one of the founders at the first ever founders event for Midnight Society?
Oh my goodness, it feels amazing. The energy here is great. DEADROP was an amazing game to play. I can't even describe in words how excited I am.
Okay, and you have been able to do the play test, correct?
Yes.
All right. What were you expecting, and were you surprised when you sat down and loaded into the game at what you got?
To be honest, I came in here with an open mind, and it really blew me away. Just DEADROP looks amazing. The lighting looks amazing. The pacing looks amazing. I'm really, really hyped for this.
What were you expecting from this event? I mean, did you expect a name like that? How has the whole experience felt so far?
I feel like the event right now, I really didn't expect this many people to come over. I thought it was going to be around a few 200, but it seems like there's thousands of people here just really wanting to play this game.
Awesome, Russ. Thank you so much, and go enjoy the rest of your night at the DEADROP reveal.
Thank you.
We will be back throughout the night with even more interviews as everyone gets their chance to get their hands on the game and listen to the devs from Midnight Society as they continue to talk more about their plans for DEADROP.
We're back at the FaZe Warehouse. We've spent the last 30, 40 minutes getting some time on DEADROP. Oh man, it feels good to say that name. DEADROP. Ooh! Man. Now that you've had some time to do it, the variants at home have time to play it. We're going to take some questions here a little later, but we want to spend some time talk about Midnight Society, why we formed it, why we're taking this approach, and get your questions about it, because what we're doing here has never been done. Normally, back in the day, and I've talked about this with a few of you guys on the floor already, you would come up to me at conventions, at COD XP, at different stuff, and you'd have feedback for the game. But by the time you're giving me that feedback, it's too late. The game's going out the door, right? We're in marketing mode at that point. And a lot of why we formed this studio, a lot of the basis of that was from those interactions. I see a lot of familiar faces out here of people who were in that COD community with me talking about that stuff, and we are trying to change the industry in a compelling way. And how we do that is by snapshots like this, right? This is our approach of every 6 weeks delivering new builds. Now, after we ship those builds, what do? We get together. Not always in person. This is a rare event, right? This is the first of many to come, but we won't do this for every build, right? Our online interactions are key. That's why we have the variant Discord. After every snapshot build, when you go home tonight and the people at home already have it, right? We're gonna have detailed surveys talking about every feature of the build. How do you feel about movement speed? How's that gun feel? How's that recoil spread, right? Getting down to the nitty gritty. And I love, absolutely love, and if you guys have had this experience tonight, let me know. But the fact that some of you have played the build, immediately got over and started workshopping movement speeds. How movement speeds could be tweaked with attachments, how we could really approach that core gameplay loop. And that is honestly what this is about, is that interaction, that feedback. And we don't have to get it all tonight. This is a long journey. Go home, spend time with the build, run through the different ranges, really put it through its paces. This isn't about bug fixing. Yeah, we'll come across bugs, we'll address them as a community, we'll fix them. It's really about the nuance of the gameplay and building that. And so I would just like to spend some time, if we don't mind, talking about what it's been like to build this, because up until this point, getting to the first snapshot, it was about laying the foundation, introducing the first weapon, introducing the player hideout, that first space, right? But from this point on, I've said it a few times on Twitter, we do everything together. Now that the build's out there, now that it's in your hands, now that you can play it at any moment of the day, put time in, right? If you have an idea, if you come up with something, if there's something you like or don't like, or you're inspired by something that happens to you emergently in the player hideout, get on there, let's have those discussions, right? Because we're gonna start scheduling these dev roundtables that happen online throughout time, and we take that feedback, we incorporate it into the build, we iterate on it, and then we do it again, right? Next build gets bigger, gets better, gets tighter, gets faster. Oh my God. I love it. Then we play it again. We inspire more, right? These snapshots keep growing and growing and growing. So I would love to just hear, maybe Quinn, you could kick us off on just like, what has the experience been like of building this game in this manner, right? It's very different than how we've been building games for a while. It's like, how do you feel knowing that instead of 2 years, in 6 weeks, people get to see what we've been working on behind the scenes each time?
Well, that's a serious question, Rob.
I'm a serious man.
I would have to say there's a lot happening right now inside of me, and honestly, a lot of it is there's nervousness because we're all here together. There's also excitement because we're all here together. But when I really think about what this process is going to be like, every 6 weeks of dev time, where us as a team, we get together, what do we want to make? We're going to get better. This is just the beginning. We're learning together as well. We're forming our relationships. And I love to see not just us, but everyone here, we're all forming relationships too. How many people that I've been able to talk to and learn names just tonight. And I've seen other people here get to know other people here, other variants, exchanging variant names. What's your attributes? What does your variant look like? People that are making friends right here at this event. So for me, that is like the most exciting thing, because I've done plenty of games in development where you go dark and then you hope you have something at the end that people really like. And here we're flipping on its head. And that's why we decided to create and found Midnight Society, is so that we could all be here together in this room and to learn from each other. You guys get to play it. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. And I've said this to a few of you. Don't blow sunshine up at us, you know? Tell us if you don't like something, because the game's not going to get better if you're just telling us that something's always great. So for me, that's one of the most exciting things about this team that has formed, and we're still growing, looking for more people. And we have this build here, which is exciting, but it's just the first step.
Love it. That's a really crucial point that you just touched on, right? We, this group, need to be the most critical people of this game before we finish it, right? Before it gets outside of this inner circle of the greater populace of gaming, we are the ones who need to beat it up. We are the ones that need to hold it to task, right? Because so many of us have been in that situation where we are emotionally invested in the game and it's just not hitting the mark for us, right? For whatever reason. But there's nothing we can do about it. We're doing this because now there is something we can do about it. And it's only gonna work if we all call bullshit when there's bullshit. If we all point it out when something's not working, right? Because everybody in this room, you flew here, you drove here, you walked here, you waited in the sun for hours. We did that because we all have a common passion for getting this right. Because we want something to play, we want something to love. And so that's the focus of what we are doing here, is like make sure that we're getting it right, because it's on us. It's not just on us, right? It's on all of us to make sure we're identifying the things that matter and iterating on that. So I love that.
Yeah, and that's something that's great that Rob said, is when he's saying us, he does not mean us. He does not just mean, you know, Praz or Ryan or Sumit. Sumit's a tough critic. We all know Doc. He's a critic, right? Right? I mean, he's thirsty. He's so thirsty for something new in the industry, right? He's Midnight Society's biggest fan. I mean, look at him, right? He wants something fresh too. So we are our tough critics, but we need all of you to be tough critics as well. Because we don't just want to make another cookie cutter kind of game, another shooter that is just going to fade away into foreverness, right? So that's why all of us are tough critics, but we need you all to be tough critics too.
Yeah. And so this first snapshot, what we are focused on now is introducing the first weapon, introducing the first player hideout. That player hideout's going to grow over time. If you've had a chance to play it, I'm sure you've noticed there's a lot of locked doors in there. There's a few open ones. There's a lot of locked doors, right? The conversations we need to go home and have tonight is, where does that expand to? What is behind those doors? What do we want to see in this player hideout, which is essentially our pregame lobby, right? When we head into that tower and come back out and we're breaking down our loot, we're doing all of that, right? What do we want to do? What are the spaces we want to have available? Those are the discussions we want to have. Speaking of the first weapon, Praz, you want to talk about the weapon a little bit? Is it on?
Hello? Test.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, the first weapon is the X1 rifle. It's the first of many to come, and no one else more to say.
Yeah, no, I got you. So,
That's it. That's all Praz got to say about that.
Hey, Praz made it, so give him a break.
Yeah, let's talk about what did we want, what was important for us to capture in this first snapshot that relates to the feedback that we want to get.
I think I could talk about the gun a little bit.
I would love it.
Okay. So I think typically, this is kind of an interesting thought I had about studios in general. Typically there's this relationship. I'm an engineer, right? So typically,
Speak into the...
Hello? Is that better? Oh, cool. So, yeah, this is how we make this work. Thanks, guys. So typically you have this relationship with engineers and designers, right, where you have a spec for a game, it's supposed to look a certain way, do a certain thing, these are the mechanics, right? Engineer makes certain things that the designer can use to basically fulfill that spec, like live up to exactly how the game is designed. For us, that doesn't really exist yet. We're still trying to figure that out. We're figuring that out. You guys are helping us figure that out. So I think the challenge with the systems that's really interesting for me and I enjoy working on is I'm not just making things for Praz to use to make a very specific preconceived idea of a weapon. kind of making things in the most generic, iterable way possible so that these things are flexible and they're not set in stone at any point in time. So I think so far what you see with the gun that is in there is what Praz was able to express with the tools we currently have. So whether you guys like the gun how it is exactly, or there's even more expressions that you want to see with the guns, like attachments, things that you talked about, that's the kind of feedback we need too, things to make available so people like Praz can basically make those things come true for you guys.
That's honestly probably like the 20th version of that weapon. So like,
At least.
bring out 21, 22. Let us know what you think. And
Yeah.
Awesome. Do we want to take some questions? Yeah? All right. So we want to open up the floor to talk about any questions you have about how this is going to work moving forward. Right now we're talking about the studio, snapshots, early feedback, that iteration loop, how that's going to work. Katie and Miggles is going to walk around and make sure that you have a microphone, and then we can dive into that. After this talk, we're going to take another break. People get drinks, play the game if you haven't got a chance to do it. And then we're going to come back here with the dev team and dive deep into gameplay. If you looked at your variant guide, you know that we started to scratch the surface about what the narrative, the core gameplay loop, the fact that the game is a vertical extraction shooter, right? When we come back after this talk, we're diving into all of that. What does that mean? What is the nuance? What is that core gameplay loop? But right now, let's focus the questions around the studio, snapshot builds, early development, how you guys are going to be involved. Any questions you have on that, by all means.
And if I may, guys, let's give a huge props to the team. You know, the team here, the marketing team there, working behind the scenes. I mean, can't even imagine. We started this 8 months back, right? Started working on this. You know, the concepts, the development, everything. I mean, it's just amazing. So huge props to these guys.
All right, gentlemen, anyone who may not know you, and shame on you if you don't, please introduce yourselves.
We're Team Summertime. We're a content trio for Optic Gaming, and thank you guys. Thank you.
Summertime. All right away, I need to know, you see the logo drop, you see it come down on the screen. What did you guys think of DEADROP?
Man, it's actually been amazing. I didn't know what to expect. You know, they kept everything very close-knit, and we had no idea what to expect going in there.
Yeah, I personally love the name. It fits well with the gameplay that I've played so far, so I enjoyed it.
Leave it to the Champions Club to make a damn good-looking game. It looks slick. I have a lot of questions about what a vertical shooter is. I see a big skyscraper, but I don't know what that means, but I'm excited to find out.
All right, well, my first impression was ominous, right? I mean, it looks very imposing, and I'm sure the devs will be discussing just that for the vertical shooter. But when they're sitting here, they're talking about this AAA game and how involved all the founders are going to be in it. Have you seen anything like that before? What does it mean to you guys when you see the players, the fans getting engaged in this way?
I mean, look at all the people here. I don't think people have ever seen a game this early before. Look at you guys, man. It's insane. I mean, we pulled up, we flew in today, you know, wanted to show some support to the Champions Club, and of course to 12 a.m. and Doc, of course. And you know, it's been an awesome time. We've been camping out for the last hour and a half playing, just shooting bots and having a really good time.
All right, well, shooting bots, what do you think so far?
I think it's amazing. I think it's fluid. I like the movement so far. I'm a bit of a controller player myself, so I'm a bit new to keyboard mouse, but it feels good. I like trying to break the game as quick as possible. We were 360 and off a building, shooting the last bot, having a good time. But the movement feels fluid. I like how the gunplay feels. It sounds good, which is a big part of it for me. It looks good, and I'm excited to get back out there.
Ooh, PvP. Well, we might have a little bit of at least a 1v1 showdown later. But, sir, you might want to get some water before that.
I don't know. Maybe a couple more of these, and you know, we might have a better opportunity.
You gotta get on loose a little bit, you know?
All right, so I got to ask before we let you guys go, what do you want to hear from the dev team most? What are you really, really curious about that you hope that they might cover tonight?
That's for you guys.
I'll still go back to the vertical. I just want to know what are we playing? Am I going to be you know, taking stuff out? Am I going to be collecting M16s and taking them home and building toilets? Am I going to be like fighting other people in a game? I want to know what it is. I know it looks good though.
It does look good. Does it look good? All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and for enjoying DEADROP.
Okay, so there was a lot in there. I think one of the questions was, hey, what is this? What is a vertical shooter? What does that mean? And am I going to be, you know, are we going to be taking stuff home and building toilets? I don't know. That's pretty interesting. It's up to you guys to help influence that. How much do you want to take materials back and build toilets, right? These are the things we want to hear. But for us, a vertical shooter, especially in this, a vertical extraction shooter, you saw the tower, right? If you've played the build and then you saw the name reveal, you see that daunting tower in the distance. And we're not going to be revealing too much about that, but what you can expect from a vertical shooter is, from a level design perspective, there's a lot of what we call over, under, and around kind of flow, like movement, right? So you can think of there's going to be people above you, there's going to be people circling around, underneath, pathways, all that kind of stuff. And we're taking it very seriously from that viewpoint. And players are going to be traveling up, down, just like you look at the name of the game. DEADROP, it's got the arrows that are going up and down. Players are going to be traversing and battling both upward and downward. And that to us is something that's really exciting about this game, is that there's not a lot of that in the game industry right now, especially from a level design viewpoint. So for us, a vertical extraction shooter is taking something, when you look at a lot of games that are horizontally built, we're taking that play space and making it vertical. Now there's still going to be a lot of horizontal aspect to it. It's going to be big. It's not going to be, you're not going to be in an elevator shaft. That building is huge, okay? And so there's going to be a lot of space for you to roam. There's going to be a lot of people hunting you. You're going to be the hunter, right? You're going to be stalking other players, getting loot, and maybe at the end of the day, we'll put some toilets in there for you to build as well.
All right, do we have some more questions? All right. Wave down Katie and Miggles.
Are we? All right.
Not that one.
All right, welcome, welcome. Please, if people do not know you, give us your name.
Hey, everybody. How's it going out there, crowd? Can I hear some noise, huh? I got one question, and it's for Doc. And I got to know, how is the in-game audio going to be for this game?
Good question.
Let's just say we've already fired 6 guys. How did the audio sound? Good.
Deep answer. I liked it. Anything else?
Yeah.
It's working.
It's been great to see a crowd out here. Great to see everyone showing support. You know, people looking a lot like Doc out there, but not quite like him. There's also been, to be fair, there's also been quite a bit of flack and heat out there. I am curious how the team up here on stage. Obviously, a lot of expectations have been set for you guys for good reason. You know, it's a good group of guys, a good team out there as well. So, how are you guys responding to those expectations that have been set before you?
Yeah. Our approach is straight simple, right? We don't give a shit what anybody says. We don't give a shit what anybody thinks. We are going to answer every critique with builds. Playable builds every 6 weeks. Somebody has something to say, we're listening, right? And we're building. We're answering through action. We're not answering through talking or responding or trying to appease everybody. The only people we're trying to appease, this group right here. This is it. The people in this room, the people in the Discord, the Baron only Discord at home, those are the opinions that matter, because we know collectively we're going to answer the need, right? It's not about us. We're here to execute on this. And that's what we're going to do based on everything anybody says. Anybody can have an opinion, right? But until you play it, that's when it matters.
Thank you, thank you. We do certainly know that Twitter has a whole lot of opinions, and hopefully tonight, most of them positive. Anything else?
One last one for you guys. You know, it seems that competition is primed and ready. It seems like a lot of people in the gaming space want to make their own games too. You got OTK, you got 100 Thieves, and you got Doc and his team too. So how do you guys compare yourselves to all the competition ongoing right now?
I haven't heard of any of those, have you?
Look, I mean, I would say one thing is, you know, honestly, we are not trying to compare ourselves to anyone, right? We are who we are, and I look at this group, and this is just a subgroup of the developers of Midnight Society, and this is a damn good group, all right? And we're not thinking about anyone else in the gaming industry. We're thinking about us and you guys, all right? That's what we're thinking about. We compare ourselves to what you think about what is on the screen. Because us, we have a saying, on screen is king, right? Like, you could do paper designs, you could do all sorts of stuff, but until it's on screen and playable, which is what we have here right now, it doesn't matter, okay? So for us, we're not comparing ourselves to anyone else.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing real quick, right? We got in this to change the industry. We expected it to take a while. The fact that people are already starting to do what we started 6 months ago, I love to see it. I want more people to copy us. I want more people to open up their games early. I want more people to include their community. We're not trying to corner the market on that. We're trying to change the industry so everybody does it. So I love that those other people are following in our footsteps. Let them do it. They're going to make a different game than us, and that game's going to be better because they did what we're doing now and opening it up.
All right, I think we got another question for the incredible dev team.
All right, guys, we've heard a lot of people, you know, there's comparisons everywhere. You say you're doing it better than anyone else, but we hear, oh, this is kind of like Tarkov. This is kind of like CSGO. This is kind of like Call of Duty. But what is making this game the next level? What is making this, like you said, that no one can compare, that people are going to try to copy you?
Okay, well, for us, again, the proof is in the pudding and what we're going to be putting on screen, but the way we're looking at this is we're trying to take the best of all of our knowledge. This team is made up of a lot of veterans from all sorts of games and big-time games in the industry. And there's things that we like about those games, and there's things that we love about those games. So we're taking what we feel is the best of those, and how do we make something new? And that's tough to do in the industry, right? There's so many things that have been retread before. And for us, it's also not just about the idea, it's about the execution of those ideas. And some other studios, they could do something, but if the execution isn't there, then it's not going to have people playing it. And so for us, the big game changer is the execution. We need to execute on these ideas, even if those similar ideas in the industry. It's the execution, and then again, the other big game changer, we keep coming back to it. We sound like a broken record, but seriously, the other game changer is everyone in this room, right? If everyone does their job and speaks up and lets us know when something is lame or when something is genuinely good, that to us is how we're going to get something that everyone else doesn't have, and maybe they'll want to copy us and be like us too.
Thank you for that. We have one more set of questions from a different angle, perhaps. This is Goj, my co-caster, and someone from a talent perspective who looks at a game like this and says, there's some very interesting prospects here. So, Goj, when you look at the dev team, what do you have? What's on your mind?
Yeah, no, it's a incredible product already, and we're really excited about the roadmap forward. My question comes from the competitive standpoint, right? There's a lot that can be said about public lobbies and how a game can execute for the casual player base, but we all know the competitive player base, specifically esports level player base, can really change the way a game is looked at. So give us a little bit of insight, if you can, about the competitive level that Doc, of course, is going to be playing at.
Yeah, I would love to, right? So, and I've talked about this with a few of you guys out there already, right? How we look at it, and we've said time and time again, that you don't build an esports game. Esports chooses you, right? So we are focused right now on that core gunplay, making it feel good. And if we do that correctly, if we make that feel smooth and tight and feel competitive, like you feel like you can compete at it, the teams are going to respond. And this is a great question because it speaks to how we built this group right here. Everybody in this room filled out that ridiculous application process, right? It wasn't for nothing. The reason we asked those questions, asked for that data, was so that we understood who was casual, who was hardcore, who was an esports athlete, who's a developer, who's a content creator. Because we wanted this first group, everybody here and everybody at home in the Variant Only channel, to be a diverse group of opinions so that we could start at a base level and be like, let's get gunplay good. Now let's hear from our esports athletes in the crowd about, you know, what could be competitive, what feels too RNG, what should be removed from a competitive playlist, right? And iterate like that. Because at the end of the day, if the esports scenes, right, we're here at FaZe Clan right now, we're good friends with Optic, we have a lot of friends, a lot of founders who are in the esports scene. If you guys are asking for this to go competitive, and this group decides to support those ambitions, that's what we do. That's how this works, right? If there's a need for it, there's a voice for it, then we do it. And so we are going to listen and we're going to build towards what this group wants to do and just diversify that way.
Are we wrapping it up?
So that leaves it for this portion of it where we're talking about the studio and the setup. Please, if you haven't already, get some time in. If you've already got some time in, grab a drink, relax, pick up your swag, talk to the dev team. After, we want as many people to have time with the actual build as possible because when we get back, we're going to dive into the actual deep dive of the gameplay questions. Talk about gunplay, talk about features, talk about where we're going, what our thinking was in those. So spend some time on it, talk to us if you see us, and then we'll be right back here in a little.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're here, the game dev team. We're going to talk a little bit more about in-depth the game we're making. We can talk a little bit about mechanics. We can talk about the art style, all that stuff. We're going to talk about Snapshot. We're going to walk through it step by step, what we delivered on, what was our vision, what were we thinking, all that kind of stuff, so that you can get a little bit more context for those of you that have already played it and those of you who have yet to play it. So let's get into that a little bit, okay? So right here on the screen, this is the very first thing that you see when you load up Snapshot 1. You're riding in an elevator, there's some mystery, what's going on here, the elevator doors open, and boom, you're greeted to this. This is what we're calling our weapons bench room, all right? And so in here is the weapons bench, and this is something that, this could become lots of things, and this is what we'd like to get feedback from you guys. But for us, the genesis of this is where you as a player could come and customize your weapon or weapons, not just a single weapon, but your weapons. How many weapons do you have? All those kind of things. What kind of weapons? These are the things we also want to hear from you as well. But you as a player, you'd come in here and you'd tinker with things. You'd change different attachments, all sorts of stuff, right? Things that you'd expect. We're thinking of things like, hey, how do you display maybe your favorite weapon? All that kind of stuff. And so that's what this room was trying to evoke. It's like very simple. We want to at least lay the foundation for the weapons bench. And in this room as well, we've also got things like, you know, there's a closed door over to the right. Well, what's that all about? You know, there's a keypad. If you're going to interact with it, it beeps at you, says access denied. There's things in there that we're trying to build towards. And that's what's exciting to us with this hideout and with this game in general as we build it with all of you in mind, is things are going to evolve over time. There's going to be new areas to explore. Each snapshot will get into these things. So when it comes to this room and this weapon, one of the main features is this classified rifle. We don't really have a name for it yet. That'll come. So if anyone's got cool ideas, let us know. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this, because I want to kick it over to our art director, Darren Bacon, and he could tell us a little bit about this weapon, its identity, its looks, and all that?
Yeah, okay, so this weapon, it's kind of a nice snapshot on just art direction generally all up on the project. And so what we've been thinking about is it's like the high level idea is it's the future through the lens of the 80s and 90s in like an alternate timeline. And so what that allows us to do is like kind of pick the stuff that like, you know, fits best with our genre and Midnight Society. And so also generally it's like the whole vibe, yeah, basically lives around that, and it's a world where, you know, Doc could be living in, but he'd be in the streets, and it's not like we're making, you know, his big adventures. So that's generally the high level art style goals.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So that is another thing that's really exciting about this when we think about the art style and the visuals that you're seeing in here is, like Darren said, it's as if the 1980s or the 90s never really ended. You know, not the campy stuff, but like the stuff that we all, you know, grew up liking. Like you think of like the Terminator movies or Aliens and Escape from New York. Those are some of our inspirations of this kind of universe we're building here. And so that's why we love the X1 and that classified rifle, just how it looks. And to be, yeah. So with that, I mean, what about the environment in here? And I'd like to Greg over here. Greg Cox is our lead environment artist. Greg, tell us about just the environment and what we're trying to see here and accomplish.
Well, there was a couple of challenges with this because we're using Unreal 5, so we want to make sure that we're using the features of Unreal 5 to make our lives easier while still delivering a very good product. And to your point, you know, Quinn, this is, you know, when we first started looking at this space, we put together a lot of reference boards. So we started looking at a lot of the classic movies that we kind of like, old school John Carpenter kind of movies, Big Trouble, Little China, you know, a little bit of Bloodsport in there, you know. So we mixed some things in of, you know, not for the sake of nostalgia. Like we don't necessarily want to convey nostalgia, but the limitations that those films had at the time made those films great, and they look good, right? So we want to capture that a little bit. So we knew that for this first shot, it had to be important. Like it needed to grab your attention immediately. The player needs to see that rifle. The player needs to be drawn into that workbench. And so we began populating it out with some of the assets that we built from scratch. And then we also pulled in things from Megascans to kind of make life a little bit easier for us. And yeah, so we did a lot of set dressing, and we went through multiple iterations of lighting to kind of capture that mood for it a little bit and everything. And I think it did the job. I think it did a really good job of it. So yeah, we're all really, really proud of it. And I think that rifle just looks so damn good up there.
Nice. Okay. So let's move on to the next area. We'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah, so this is a little bit of that tease that we were telling you about. So this is a concept image of what that door to the right of the weapon bench could be. And so now we're looking at this like, okay, right now we're just calling it like the vault, right? Like, or the armory. What does the player want to put in there? What are the things that are interesting? Kind of gear, what kind of gear do you want to put in there? What kind of weaponry do you want to put in there? Things that you really like that you want to keep safe. Things that you want to use for the right moment, the right area in which you're going to go play in. So this is just an early concept tease of something that could or could not be coming. So, all right, let's go to the next one. Oh, okay. So, speaking of teases, speaking of feedback and teases, yeah, so this is another one. In the variant guide, you'll see this as well. This is an image of another concept that is amazing about our garage, right? So we're calling it the garage, and we'll have more to talk about this at another time, but as you look through the variant guide and take a look at this image, just soak it in. What are the ideas? What are the things that you like? What are the things that you think about this? Let us know. and we'll have some conversations about it. That's all I really want to say about that.
Let me pose a little question. I don't want an answer now. I don't want an answer now. I'm not saying it is or is not related to the garage, right? I just want to know, think about it. Get back to us. Hit us up on Discord or Twitter. We know we're in the player hideout. We know we're going to a tower. How do we get to that tower? What does that process look like? That's what I'd like you guys to think about, mull over, right? How are we getting there? How are we choosing where in that tower we're starting? We're using that speed. Oh, that's some interesting questions, huh? So I would just simmer on that. Look at your variant guide, soak in that artwork, and think, what's the best fucking raddest way we can get from the player hideout to the tower? Just let that soak for a little bit. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I love when Rob chimes in and he tells someone to hold his beer and he just like gets in after it.
I'm just asking questions, man.
Excellent. Okay, so this right here, this is what we're calling our interior range, right? The gun range that's inside the hideout. And we have all sorts of little mini games or firing range experiences. There's 3 to be exact. And this is where we want the player to be tested on different kinds of gunplay with this classified rifle that we have in the experience. So again, I love the visuals of this. This is all through Unreal Engine 5. We're super excited for it. You could look through this. You could see Darren's vision. You could see what Greg has done and what Eric has done and what Steve has done with his concept work. I mean, there's just so much effort poured in through the team on this that we just love to finally get it in your hands to check it out. But what I really want to talk about right now is the firing range experience. And I think the best person to talk about that is our Director of Gameplay Engineering, which is Jim here on the end. So Jim, tell us all about these firing ranges and how it works.
Thanks, Quinn. So I was watching people play over here, and I think this first firing range, pretty much everybody understood it right away. So let me kind of contrast this one and the second one. This first one, there's one target active at a time, and so we don't even put that on the, it's not even on the HUD. There's just one target pops up, you shoot it, the next target pops up, and the targets are not moving much. They move a little bit to get out from behind one of those kind of barriers. So it's very simple. There's 10 targets and they pop up and they're really relatively close range. You can see the end of the range very easily. Honestly, watching people play over here, I feel like maybe our learning curve was a little too steep on the second target range. A lot of people started the second range and it's way upstairs. That's not a great picture for it. But they started the second target range and it pops up and it says, oh, there's 2 targets active. And people are like, where are they? And then they go down the elevator and they're kind of looking around for where are the targets. The truth is the targets are like a lot farther away, and you really have to, there's a lot of fog and stuff. So to be honest, Quinn and Rob kept telling me and some of the other guys, this is not meant to be an easy game.
That's right.
It's like, we're gonna lean into shadows on this game, and so it should be hard to see your enemies and these targets, so it's totally fine. So people can play that again, I would say, if you only had one chance to play it here. So that's the second one. You want me to tell about the third one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the really thing that's important to hear from you, Jim, is what is the 3 ranges and what is the skills we're trying to test for the players? Because that was something that you really did a good job of executing with your team on, the interior range, what's the goal there, the goal for the first exterior, and then the goal for the bottom range and the surprises down there.
Yeah, the first one is really, the targets are very visible. There's only one choice at a time. So it's really about quick acquisition, target to target to target, and it's really just about very quickly moving from one target to the next. Whereas the second target range, they're farther off, so it's more about scanning the environment and seeing where the targets are, and they're a lot farther off, so it's much more challenging to actually get headshots. So that second firing range is much more difficult. As I say, it might have been wise for us to have another one in between the two to kind of scale up to that. But anyway, you guys like hard games, I'm sure. So the third one we call our reaction trial, and the clock works differently there. You start the trial. This is down at the bottom. You take the elevator down, and there's a button to start the trial, and then you move through. We actually, Praz actually added a lot of arrows to kind of guide you through the environment. There's yellow kind of spray painted arrows to guide you through, and it's all about quick reactions. Those targets are relatively close, but you're kind of moving forward, and you don't know exactly when they're going to pop up because you can't really see the trigger that's going to pop them up. Probably if you play it 10, 20 times, you'll know exactly where they get triggered. But the idea is to test your quick reflexes and your reaction time. So you go through, some 2 to 4 things pop up, and you shoot them. So that's the third one.
Yeah. So this is something else that we really wanted with these targets to be there is like, hey, we have a weapon in the game. It's not going to be fun if we just have a space where you're just shooting the wall or the floor, messing around. What do we have in there? So you could actually look at what's the bullet drop, right? What's the projectile speed? Because every weapon in our game, we're going to have projectiles and speeds that are varying at different distances. So we want to see how does that feel, and that's why some of the targets move, some of them don't. And then we got really good fun stuff in there with the chaos system that Unreal provides, where you've got destruction on the targets. So it's fun to just, we were earlier on in development, we had it so as soon as you hit a target, the target just like immediately goes down. We're like, that's not very fun. Like, what do we do about that? It's like, well, why don't we have the target stay up for just a second so you could see, oh man, I blew a hole in the leg of that target. Oh, that person just got lobotomized. Their head's gone, right? Because we got destruction in there. And that made a bigger difference in just the overall fun. Even though you're not shooting other players, that'll come, but you're not shooting any other players right now. You're just shooting targets, and you're kind of learning the gunplay of what we're trying to go with DEADROP. And that's just a single weapon, and there'll be more to come as well. So that's the main reason why we got all these targets, these firing ranges, all that, so we can get feedback from you on the spread of the weapon, the recoil, the bullet, the projectile speeds, everything. So yeah, so that is out here in the exterior range. For me, the second one is a lot of fun because of the ranges and the heights. Because in a game that is a vertical extraction shooter, you're not just going to be shooting everyone that's on the same plane as you. You have to be looking up, looking down. The height advantage is going to be a real deal in our game. So those are some of the exciting things about the exterior range as well. So,
hey Quinn.
Yeah.
I want to jump in a little bit on the chaos.
Please.
One just quick comment is early on we had some discussions about whether we should use the Unreal 4 physics technology, which is called PhysX, or the Unreal 5 physics technology, which is called chaos physics. And we decided, we're leaning into UE5. So we set it up for all the targets, and I think that's pretty much all we did for starters. Is the wooden targets and the cyborg targets are all using chaos physics, but I think it looks great. It looks much better than the older destruction, and we can lean into that even more and bring some really amazing physics simulations. So I think we made a great choice.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I'd like to dive deep on a little bit, right? We've decided that we're fully embracing Unreal Engine 5 and all the bells and whistles that come with it, right? One of those things that Jim touches on is dynamic destructibility through chaos. Right now we're using it for the targets, right? If you ran through the range, you see those things getting fucked up, right? They're coming apart. What we need to think about, again, something for us to discuss, is how much do we want to lean in on that in the environment? Do we want walls being fully destructible? Do we want cover points being destructible? Maybe not walls, maybe cover points, right? to what degree do we want that, right? Do we want there to always be low cover, but we destroy medium to high cover, right? This is the mindset that we all need to be getting into, because these are the discussions and the hard decisions that we need to make. Because I'll tell you right now, and a lot of you already know, I see you shaking your head. The moment, if we decide to go full destructibility on cover points, that changes the game in a big way. That changes how you choose to engage. That chooses how you choose to break contact. So it has big ripple effects, right? So we've made a decision as a development team to embrace the Chaos Engine and destructibility. Our job as Variants is to figure out to what degree. Where do we draw the line, right? That's what we need to be thinking about and talking about on Discord after this event, right? Because once we move into PvP, when we're fighting each other, whether in the sectors or in other areas, that's gonna play big, right? So one of the big things that I know is gonna be a discussion point in the next 6 weeks is like, all right, if we're starting to think about PvP, what does that map look like? What does that map look like when you spawn? What does that map look like 10 minutes into the session, right? So like, I feel like I'm giving people homework, but just think about it. Because we are all about setting the course, right? Setting the course on the tech we're gonna use to achieve it and implementing it. The scope, the scale, the direction, all of that stuff is gonna come from a collective. But I love Chaos so far. It adds so much to the range.
Thanks, Rob, for adding that. That's a big deal. Like, we can't undersell much how much what Unreal Engine 5 does for us. So, okay. Moving on. Like, we got some questions? Okay, let's do it.
All right, well, first things first, I do have a Twitter question for you guys. Everyone's been loving the name. They think it's fantastic, but we've seen it more than a few times. Who came up with the name DEADROP?
Well, that was a very collaborative effort. Is the very, that's probably the safe way to say it, but I'll say, you know, Rob. It's a Rob call. Rob wanted to do it. He loved that name. And, but to be honest, the people that get in the room was myself, Rob, you know, Brian Miggles, and, you know, Doc. Doc was there. He's always providing his feedback. And we had lots of cool options, but we just kept coming back to DEADROP. And every time we came back to DEADROP, Rob would just be gloating on his camera the whole time.
I lose my fucking mind every time it came up. I'll tell you one thing, I definitely am the one who decided to spell it wrong. That was 100% me.
Well, we're spelling it our way now because that's the right way to spell it. So, yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, let us know who you are. I know you said you're involved in the Discord. Obviously, you're here in the whole outfit. What do you got for the dev team?
Yeah, my name's Alex Izido on Discord, aka the 5'8" variant, because I'm not 6'8". But question about the variants, because I see that each variant almost has like a different perk. How is that going to play into the game? Like, let's say we're on a specific level. I don't know if this is going to be the case. Let's say I'm really good with long-range combat. Will that play into how our team is going to get to the next stage? If it's stage-based, where we start from here, we conquer this area, boom, we go on to the next level. Like, how are the variants going to play with proceeding in the levels as it goes through?
Yeah, so I've got thoughts about that for sure, but I want to, is anyone else have any thoughts or ideas about that? No? Okay, just making sure everyone has an opportunity. Oh, I know Rob will say something. He'll always say something. So
I'm sitting back here, leave me alone.
So the variants, all of you are super important to us. And that is something that we'd like to have an open dialogue on. Like, how does that work? Because each and one of you, you have your own variant, you have your own attributes and categories, to your point. How do we have that manifest itself in the game? And that's something that we're interested in, but right now we're focused on the core foundation of the game, what it's like for people, the majority of the people that are going to be playing this game, because the majority of the people are not in this exclusive, amazing club of variants. So what we're trying to do is make sure that the variants are able to stand out or peacock, right? You have that badge of honor, that day zero community that you're here. So when you're in a server, people are like, whoa, check that out. There's a variant right there. So, but as far as the gameplay goes, that's something that we're gonna have to work out together as a crew and see what we want to accomplish.
I think I have a couple thoughts about that too, if you don't mind. Just throw in there. Okay, cool. Say from on the couch. I think the thing with the variants and like the specific stats that are on there and stuff, that's something we had to create before we had the opportunity to know who you guys were. So if you think about it, like the variants were created before people controlled them, right? So the challenge there is that we didn't really want to commit exactly in a gameplay sense to what's on there, because we had to kind of design those and make those decisions before you guys had a chance to even participate, if that makes sense. So I think everything that is in there is a great starting point for like inspiration or things that we might want to add, sort of like what Quinn's talking about, but nothing that we wanted to decide before people had an opportunity to participate in things.
We're whispering, but we'll be with you in one moment.
Yeah, so vertical extraction shooter, like what exactly is that going to look like? Because for me, this is new. I haven't played any games where it's vertically based, so like what's...
Sorry, that question's no good.
What's that going to look like for us? What can we expect?
Okay, all right, again, just making sure we're all good. We have a voice up here. Okay, so what's that gonna look like? Well, you see on the screen right now, that is the exterior, right? And the main reason we wanted this tower there is we wanted that inspiration. That is the goal. That's where we want to get to. That right there is the place that largely people are going to be playing in DEADROP. That's where you're going to be going on your runs, okay? That's where you're going to be dropping. That's where you're going to be trying to escape with your life and your things. So what's that look like? We're not going to, we don't want to release or talk about everything that's going on there, because right now we're so focused on Snapshot 1 and what that is. But just to give you a little bit of taste, that's a lot of building. And there's a lot of things in there. So internally, we've already had really fun, interesting conversations about what each area of that building, what that tower is going to look like, from visual thematics, right, to even gameplay. Like, you know, we're even calling them like sectors, right? So not just floors, but like a sector. And this building is going to have multiple sectors inside it. And each sector is huge. And each sector is going to have different themes in it. You know, like, hey, is this one like a hospital? Okay, cool. Or is this like a whole medical area? Is this a storage area? Where's the sector that is exterior based? So we get a little bit of that cool weather that you see in Snapshot 1 with the rain. So that's just a little bit of the tease. We'll get more into that. And we have big, high hopes and goals for what the tower gameplay is like. But rest assured, it's going to be crazy and awesome.
Yeah, I have a quick question. How?
Take his beer away.
I just got a quick question.
Turn his mic off.
How many people here completed the ARG that we did? A decent amount, right? And like the ARG, we called the CC protocol, which was the Claws Combat Protocol, right? It was a training ground, a simulator to figure out how our variants would think, how they sort of approach this concept of sector-to-sector gameplay, choosing between engaging and extracting, right? That ARG laid a lot of philosophical foundation for how we think about the tower, how it's constructed. Because I think philosophically, and by all means chime in, correct me if I'm wrong or you want to elaborate, I know what we love based on our collective experiences on different franchises is we love like arena map design, right? What we love about that is we love being able to learn a map, master an area, learn sight lines and cover points and the best place to post up, right? But we really enjoy the larger scale of battle royales. But there's some downsides to that, right? And I think what we were looking at with this vertical design was how can we get the sort of map design we love, but with the player counts and scales that we love without the benefits of the other stuff, right? then sprinkle in a little of that persistent session-to-session gameplay that you get from extraction shooters, and you got something there, right? And I think that is what has led the foundation for where we're going. But the thing is, we're not just gonna drop that on you, right? We're gonna build towards that, and at any point, when we play it, that could change based on the sentiment, right? We could be moving in that direction, full speed ahead, and we're just not feeling it as a group, right? As a collective. And then we augment, we change, we iterate. But the starting point is really looking at how do we capture that arena map design style, scope and scale, verticality and every sort of element to it, and build towards that in a really interesting way. But let's do it one building block at a time.
Okay, so I think that about does it for us in this session right here. I want to say, thank you to everyone here. Also, up here on the stage, we got lots of talented game developers working on this game, and we also have Rob. So by all means, come and reach out and talk to all of us. I like to razz Rob, I love him. But, so for that, this time we'll kick it over to Katie.
Thank you, and everyone, thank you for an incredible turnout. We're winding toward the end of the evening, but as we release you, go mingle, grab a drink. Make sure if you haven't, there's a photo booth over here in the corner. Get your pictures, get everything you need, and make sure if you haven't already, get your variant guide. I already got to read through mine. It is incredible. You won't want to miss all the information it has in store. So go relax, talk to the dev team when you see them mingling. Ignore Rob, do whatever you feel is best. But let's give it up, guys. Let's enjoy the rest of the night.
We're live at the FaZe Warehouse, and that concludes the first ever Founders event. Thank you to all the variants that made the drive out, traveled here to be with us. It's been incredible talking to every single one of you, playing alongside, but the job is just beginning. Whether you're here going home or you're already at home, get on the website, download the build, fill out the surveys, jump into the variant-only chat, because this is just day one of a very long journey. Thank you for coming out. Good night. We'll see you next time.